The Snow Elves had quite the fall from grace. Once a prosperous people, the very first elves to have settled Skyrim. When the Atmorans arrived in Tamriel, the two people maintained a period of relative peace. But everything changed when the Snow Elves attacked. The fall of Sarthal prompted Ysgramor to return to Atmora, bringing back with him the 500 companions and turning the tide of the war. In the end, a broken and desperate Snow Elf people turned to the Dwarves for refuge, who agreed to shelter the surface dwellers, but at a very steep price. Today, we're taking a look at a Skyrim mod that aims to tell us much more of this tale. Once We Were Here is a brand new quest mod from Nimwraith, a medium-sized story starring a Bosmer scholar who's interested in the Falmer and the Snow Elves. You'll encounter him at different historical sites across Skyrim and Solstheim, learning more of how the once proud people became the twisted Falmer that we know today. This serves as a great means of bringing some Elder Scrolls lore to life, taking it out of the books and instead giving us a more narrative way of interacting with it. Sillas, the Bosmer scholar, will share his findings as he journeys across the realm, and he'll even have more to say should you have completed certain base game quests involving the Snow Elves and the Falmer. The mod is fully voiced and comes with no requirements, making it a nice and easy plug and play. To get started, you can find Sillas at the Altar of Zrib, just beyond the Sightless Pit.
You seem a learned woman. Tell me, do you believe the Divines to be a force of good or a force of evil?
Seems like a trick question. The Divines have done nothing for me. They don't deserve worship. Doesn't everyone think the Divines are good? I'm not sure. It's not something I think about. Doesn't everyone think they're good, or at least they say it out loud?
Some, but not all. There are those among us who, despite the air they breathe and the winds that carry their words, cannot appreciate the gifts they were given. The fact we can question their morality is proof enough that they are deserving of our praise. The Daedra, considered by most to be embodiments of chaos, destruction, and misery, are not inherently evil. They are bound by their nature, as the Divines are bound to their kindness, victims of their own godhood, if you will. Evil comes from the ability of choice, you see. It is a byproduct of the free will instilled within us. It is a forking road to do what our souls believe to be right, or to go against such morality and push the boundaries of your humanity.
Or your...
The Dwemer chose the latter.
Humanity. What's your point?
Perhaps you know of the Snow Elves, of their empire that once spanned Skyrim and their many battles with the Nords of Atmora. Most of the history has been erased from the annals of time, but I am certain you know of the Falmer, the troglodytic descendants of the Mer, the only remnants of a once proud civilization.
Ooh, I like that
They are
troglodytic.
victims of the Dwemer's rampant curiosity, and it is my job to research the culture that now prevails.
Do you work alone? What can you tell me about the Snow Elves? Or the High Elves? Either one.
The Mer are a varied people, though each race can trace its lineage back to the Aldmer, the original inhabitants of Alinor. These ancestors did not diversify from a sedentary life. No, the forebears of the Snow Elves were the only Aldmer to settle Skyrim. In most senses, this province was no more than a freezing wasteland, fit only for the strongest of beasts. It is that fact that allowed the elves to build their empire.
What do you mean?
The advancements of the ancient Falmer were not so dissimilar to how we regard the Dwemer today. They were likely the most technologically advanced civilization on Tamriel, and their cities spanned all of Skyrim. They held an iron grip on this province. It was only by their grace that the deep folk were granted entry to the caverns below the earth.
Why would they let the Dwemer settle here?
The two races were kin. Distant, yes, but they shared the same homeland and, although only partial, blood. During the Merithic era, the Snow Elves were advanced enough to dissuade any others from attacks, the Dwemer included.
Can you tell me anything else about them?
Yes, though not here. I travel next to Sarthal, where it would be my pleasure to speak more of the ancient Falmer.
I'll see you there.
I hope to see you there.
Okay, that's interesting. A lot of the times in Nimwraith's mods, it'll be more so a thing of either the quest giver, the character kind of stays put, or you have to find them on your own later on. Oop. Oh, don't worry, I'll defend you. Don't worry, I'll protect you, Sillas. It's funny because we never really introduced ourselves, though. Oop. Alright. Like, he never gave me his name, I never gave him my name.
My mind tires of conversation. Please, let us speak again at Sarthal.
Alright, I'll see you there. It would be interesting, or maybe I would like it if there was an option to go there with him instead. So say if you wanted to... Oh, Sarthal's right here, I'll walk. Say, for instance, you decided, oh, I want to see this through to completion, and you could ask to travel with him. He could follow you, and then you could just kind of be almost like his bodyguard of sorts until you're done, or unless, you know, you do Sarthal, then you want to pause, and you say, oh, I'll see you at the next location, but you're kinda on your own. Could just be interesting as a, an alternative. Could just be an interesting kind of other way to tackle this. As always, here I am, giving mod authors more work to do with all my ideas. You're welcome, and I'm sorry. Well, the other thing was that he just kind of stayed there. Like, we didn't see him, like, set off or leave necessarily. But I imagine it's a thing of once I go into Sarthal, he'll probably just kind of, like, pop to here. Yeah, he doesn't go inside Sarthal itself, which also kind of makes sense because that would be a potential conflict if you do have the College of Winterhold or haven't finished that yet, so... Hey, buddy.
The Nords are a hardy people, staunch protectors of what came before. This is evidence of that.
What do you mean?
This site was privy to a massacre, a genocide of all Atmorans who had come to settle the city. Despite the blood spilt on these grounds, the Nords seek to reclaim what was lost. A valiant effort, if not a somber one.
Well, what happened here?
The Nords hail from Atmora, a continent once teeming with life, now frozen solid. Ysgramor, a figure synonymous with the Nords, eventually left this land during an ongoing conflict with the dragon cult. When their expedition safely navigated the Sea of Ghosts, they settled in Skyrim, making Sarthal as their first city. The Snow Elves and ancient Nords lived in an uneasy peace, if but for a time. Yet this did not last. Due to growing tensions within the land, the Mer led an assault on the city.
Why would they do that?
Likely obscured by the Nords of today, the exact reasons have been lost to time. Most probable of all is simple fear. The Snow Elves did not trust the new settlers and were terrified by what they could do. Religious differences could also be the root cause. And you see it today with the Empire and the Falmer, the ceaseless conflict that is born of one figure. The dragon cult and the pantheon of the Snow Elves were vastly different, no doubt offering a clear reason to drive the Nords out of Skyrim. Whatever the cause, it could never justify the events that followed.
A powerful artifact was below Sarthal. Could that have been the reason for the attack? I'm glad that we get to bring that up because that's often been a kind of like speculation of, oh, that's why the Snow Elves attacked, because they knew about the Eye of Magnus.
If what you say is true, and the Snow Elves knew of what resided beneath Sarthal, it could very well be the reason for the attack. Likely out of pure fear of what the artifact could do. The ancient Falmer deemed it necessary to wipe the Nords out. A horrific theory, but one that has significant merit.
What happened with the attack?
The Night of Tears, they call it. The Snow Elves massacred every Atmoran within the city. Man, women, children, none were spared in the assault. The Mer killed all they could, and when the slaughter ended, they razed the city, leaving it to the mercy of the elements.
A horrific event.
No doubt, though it was only the start of many. It is easy to solely blame the Nords for the eradication of the Snow Elves, but their actions were not without provocation. A horrific truth, but one we must bear.
Well, I'll be going now. No, why did you start researching the Falmer?
They are so uniquely their own. It is hard to observe anything else. Other races have undergone some metamorphosis, the Chimer becoming the Dunmer, Trinamax elves becoming the Orsimer. Yet none are so unique in their own regard as the Falmer. Their past has captivated me, but it is not what drew me to Skyrim. The evolution of their culture, that is what I must see with my own eyes. All my life, I would read tales of the height of the Snow Elves, their technology and culture far surpassing all other races. Now it has all been stripped bare, and the Falmer are all that remain. The nuances of the Snow Elves that are now replaced with the bestial elements of the Falmer. It is not a degradation, but a metamorphosis.
I'd argue degradation.
I wish to see what culture has been built atop the backs of their ancestors, and what is born of the Dwemer's cruelty.
Well, where will you be going next?
Ways from here, to the Isle of Solstheim and Mosring Pass.
Ooh, there
A
we
battle
go.
of great magnitude happened there.
Yep.
I wish to see it with my own eyes.
Isn't Mosring Pass the location of the final battle between the Atmorans and the Snow Elves? I think so. I mean, he'll tell me when I get there.
Farewell. May we meet again.
And what I'm doing so I can make sure that I easily find him is that I'm just using Aura Whisper when I get to the given location. So I used it at the Altar's Rib just to make sure I knew where he was. I used it both inside Sarthal and out, just to double check and all that. Weirdly enough, I did have a bug once I went inside Sarthal where Yrick Galderson was still alive, but he couldn't be killed. He could be attacked. He wasn't attacking me, but he wouldn't die. So maybe it's a good thing that we didn't put good old Sillas in there. We do have Reeklings here, so let me just clear this out real fast, and I might also just wait a day as well, because I believe you might need to wait a little bit just for him to kind of like port to, just for him to kind of spawn at the right location. Also, just in case he like runs away, maybe if he is already here but he runs away because of all the Reeklings. Either way, just give me a second. Alright, so he is not up by the actual camp at all. He's a little closer to the Altar of Thrond. He's essentially at the bottom of the valley that leads up to Mount Mosring. Which is better because then he doesn't have to deal with all the Reeklings and everything.
It is good to see you again.
Well, what brings you here?
Look around you. Observe the intricacies of this place. What do you see? What can you smell?
Snow. Mostly. Not much. I can see the mountains and I feel the wind.
You don't see the remains of countless soldiers, both man and mer?
What the hell do you see?
You don't smell the blood that bathed the nearby stone? You don't hear the echoes of battle still ringing through the pass?
What are you talking about?
No sign of battle remains. The only evidence being tales passed down by the descendants of those that fought. These remnants of conflict linger all over Tamriel, and yet we walk on the earth none the wiser. We have forgotten greater things than this battle. That I am certain of.
You've been affected by war?
Everyone in Tamriel has. Man, woman, child. It's the nature of this world. The Empire has caused untold misery across the ages, but the Thalmor, they seek dominion, a new world writ in blood.
Ooh, I like
Let us
this.
move on. I've no wish to speak of it.
I like this, and maybe I'm like looking into it too much. Maybe I'm just like looking for someone to be there, but him being a Bosmer, you know, the Wood Elves were brought into the Aldmeri Dominion, and not all of them are happy about it. If anything, many of them are really unhappy that they've essentially been forced to be part of the Aldmeri Dominion. Can you tell me what happened here?
After the massacre at Sarthal, Ysgramor and his sons, Ingol and Ilgvar, returned to Admora. In their vengeance, they gathered the 500, a vast army that upon their arrival in Skyrim took back the city. Thus began the return, and with it, the systematic slaughter of every snow elf who remained in Skyrim. Soon, all the mer who once resided in Skyrim were dead or enslaved by the Atmorans. Those that had escaped these fates journeyed to Solstheim and sought safety under the leadership of the Snow Prince. Seeking to eradicate the last bastion of the ancient Falmer, the Nords chased them, and both sides met at this pass.
The Snow Prince?
Most accounts of him are lost to time, though the Nords themselves revere him as an elf of incredible fighting prowess. He was said to be near unkillable atop his pallid white steed, a fact attributed by the Nords themselves.
Well, what happened at the battle?
The skirmish began as a slaughter of the Snow Elves. The Nords, with the fire of vengeance burning within them, were said to have painted the pass red with elf blood. It would have remained that way, but soon the Snow Prince himself rode into battle atop his white steed. He was said to have cut down swaths of Nord men and women with ease. His spear and ice magic no match for their army. And yet, a girl no older than 12 managed to fell the unstoppable prince.
How?
Finna, the daughter of Jofrio, a soldier who the prince had cut down moments ago. In her grief and rage, the girl threw her mother's sword at the elf, spelling his death. The remaining force of the Snow Elves were cut down, and it spelled the end for any hope of resistance against the Nords.
A tragic story.
Indeed, it marked the death for any hope of a better future for the elves. Though I wonder if their culture died alongside it. With each of their race doomed to know their end was imminent, did they stop caring of what came before? Or was it the evolution of their race where their culture truly died, and where the Snow Elves became nothing more than a people of a bygone age? Forgive me, my thoughts overcome me. I am certain you do not wish to answer such questions.
It'd be interesting if there was maybe an extra line or another option as a Nord of like, I don't know, if you could have just said like, oh, good riddance, and kind of plays into the fact of like, oh, you're almost proud of what your people did. And I'm not saying that'd be the right option, but it'd be interesting if maybe you kind of had like a little bit more that you could put into the conversation if you could maybe add your own like opinion to it, you know? Well, what became of the Snow Prince's body?
Nordic custom dictated his body be burnt, along with the rest of the soldiers. Yet the chieftains of the time ruled against such an act. They had personally seen the fighting prowess the elf had possessed, and they knew of the love and adoration his kin held for him. They dug him a barrow and wrapped his body in the finest of silks. Atop a pedestal sat his gleaming armor and the spear that had killed countless Nords. A fitting end.
'Cause that's from... I believe that's from the Mormon DLC. I believe that's from Blood Moon. Well, where are you headed next?
To Kagrenzel. I must see it firsthand. You are welcome to join me if you wish.
Excuse me, it's Kagrenzel.
It is no issue. I thank you for listening.
I think. I assume it's Kagrenzel. I don't think anyone ever says it. But, hey, maybe I'm wrong. And there's the Altar of Thrond, which I think that's what he was talking about too, with like the blood splattered against the stone and all that. Oh, alright, sorry, I was thinking of Kagrimez. Kagrenzel, that's back in Skyrim. Oh, okay. For some reason I thought we were staying on Solstheim a little bit longer.
The land forgets things easily. It is up to us to remember.
Alright, well, back to Skyrim then. Okay, so I'm not sure how long I needed to wait, but I found him on the steps on the Dwarven stairs that lead up to Kagrenzel, so just go south, southwest if you teleport, if you fast travel directly to Kagrenzel itself. I'll just wait for Aura Whisper to go away real fast.
I wonder, have you ever seen a loved one pass away?
I don't know if we're that close that we would talk about that. What do you mean? How so?
I don't mean a merciful death, one that is instant from an arrow or a sword. I mean the slow degradation of one's body before they ultimately succumb to the disease.
I have. It's not pleasant. I've been lucky enough to avoid it.
Death is never a pleasant thing. Be it slow or fast, I've seen far too much of it in my time. That same slow decay, the erosion of who you once were, that is what befell the Snow Elves. The descent and evolution into the Falmer wasn't done overnight by the Dwemer. It was a painfully slow process, taking hundreds of years to complete.
How did it happen?
Sometime after the battle on Solstheim, the Snow Elves were forced to seek refuge with uneasy allies, the Dwemer. Their kin had not forgotten the kindness that the ancient Falmer had offered them. But, of course, this charity was not without cost. Not all elves sought the deep folk's aid, but any who refused were slaughtered by the Nords, vanished, or eventually succumbed to the Dwarves' bargain. Whether unknowing or aware of the bargain, it matters little. The Snow Elves ate the fungi that grew within the home of the Dwemer. This flora, toxic to the elves, began to spread within their systems, and over generations they eventually lost their sight. The deep folk soon enslaved their distant kin and forced them to work within their sprawling cities alongside the lifeless automatons.
And so they became the Falmer.
Not only in their appearance, but in their culture. The Dwemer, masters to the Falmer, did not care to keep their storied and tragic history alive. They allowed it to be lost to the primal nature of the Falmer, who could no longer remember why they had approached the Dwemer. A horrific fate, one only capable by man and mer.
Did the Falmer ever try to kill the Dwemer?
After a time, but it was far too late. The War of the Crag it was named, not by the Falmer or any who fought it, but only by those who saw its aftermath. It was a bloody conflict that lasted for decades, a desperate attempt to rid themselves of the Dwemer's corruption. It raged on until the Dwemer's disappearance.
You seem rather invested in this conflict.
Invested? No, but I can see that it is the greatest tragedy to befall the Snow Elves. The Falmer still retained enough of their humanity to acknowledge a fight for survival and to yearn for freedom. Yet, they could not understand why that instinct was instilled within them. That is where the Snow Elf culture died and the evolution into the Falmer's culture truly begins.
Well, where are you headed next?
To where we first met. My final stop before I must return to the Dominion.
You don't sound like you want to go.
I don't. I've been awake at night, unable to sleep after what I've seen here. Learning about it was a different matter entirely. Books and tomes can only describe so much. Seeing these sights of conflict and a real, breathing Falmer is not something I was prepared for. My mind keeps itself awake with the thought of it all happening again. Another race exterminated or turned into beings like the Falmer.
I also recognize that right now Shadowmere's fighting something in the background.
I've seen it happen before. We are not above our ancestors or the ones that did this to the Snow Elves.
Oh, here comes Shadowmere.
This level of misery is a thing easily done. A faint hope is that my research may stop it from happening again, though I doubt it. The Falmer do not care for talks of peace or equality. The Altmer deserve to be better. And still, I serve them.
I like this. We're getting the background now. All right, give me 1 second. I'm really hoping that I can continue that conversation with him. Also, I like that this means that they actually recorded combat dialogue for him. I wasn't expecting it because he doesn't fight at all.
I wonder, have you ever seen a loved one pass away?
Had a feeling I might need to go through this whole thing again. All right, give me a second to get caught back up. Oh no. Oh, you have to be kidding me. Oh my god, I wasn't done yet. And just 3 frost trolls? I feel like you're messing with me. What is this? I don't think I've ever seen 3 frost trolls together at once. Oh,
I wonder,
my god.
have you ever seen a loved one pass away?
Alright, go back to your little spot over there and we'll try this for a 3rd time now. Do you want any troll fact? Because we got plenty.
So, where we first met. My final stop before I must return to the Dominion.
You don't sound like you want to go.
I don't. I've been awake at night, unable to sleep after what I've seen here.
What do you mean?
Learning about it was a different matter entirely. Books and tomes can only describe so much. Seeing these sights of conflict and a real, breathing Falmer is not something I was prepared for. My mind keeps itself awake with the thought of it all happening again. Another race exterminated or turned into beings like the Falmer. I've seen it happen before. We are not above our ancestors or the ones that did this to the Snow Elves. This level of misery is a thing easily done. A faint hope is that my research may stop it from happening again, though I doubt it. The Thalmor do not care for talks of peace or equality. The Altmer deserve to be better. And still, I serve them.
You're making a difference. That's what matters.
I hope it is enough. Thank you for listening to my ramblings. Where we first met, that is where I'll be next.
Alright, I'll see you there. Just
You've been a good listener.
Ignore the troll bodies. Thank you. You know, I'm learning a lot. Stuff that, we get to see and read in lore books and whatnot, but it's not really ever discussed or expressed all too much in the games. So it's just really nice to have this kind of presented to us in a different way. Well, that's where Sillas was before, right?
Las, Yanir.
Okay, he moved. He's just sitting and contemplating and... Yep. Once again, I'll wait a second just for Aura Whisper to disappear. That way we don't just have the effect while we're chatting.
Do you believe there's hope for the Falmer?
It's funny that you say that. I do. They might develop into their own intelligent race. I don't. The damage that the Dwemer did is irreparable.
You've likely encountered their barbarity time and time again, and so I won't fault you for that belief. Still, I believe there are the foundations of a culture building within them. The organized raids on villages and the abduction of livestock and people. Brutal and violent, yes, but these foundations were not built by the Falmer, they were constructed by the Dwemer. In time, I believe their acts of violence may cease, and the people of Tamriel will see them as people, not beasts.
How long would that take?
Dismantling the culture of the Snow Elves and transforming them into shells of their former selves took hundreds of years. The reconstruction of that culture, or building upon its remnants, will likely take far longer. An exact time I cannot give. Still, I believe some Snow Elves remain, free from the Dwemer's taint.
Oof, the taint. I've met one in the Forgotten Vale. One of the Snow Elves still lives. I was hoping we'd get this.
Other scholars dismissed this fact, calling it no more than blind optimism. I knew it! I've seen firsthand the lengths mortals will go to survive. There is an innate fight within all of us, a refusal to die. That portion of our souls cannot be extinguished, no matter the person or situation. From the Snow Prince's final stand to the Falmer's uprising against the Dwemer, I knew the Snow Elf still had it. Tell me, can I find him myself?
It's a treacherous cave. I don't know if you'd survive.
No matter. I must have faith in your words and his survival. With his knowledge, perhaps he can bridge the gap between Tamriel and the Falmer and hasten the evolution of their culture. What you bring fills me with great hope. Thank you.
Do you aim to go find another?
I believe it is the only thing I can do. The Dominion is not a place where I can soundly live. Their hate for man, the plans they mean to enact, I know they mean to cause a genocide. A living Snow Elf, one I can speak to, that may be the key to aiding the Falmer and stopping history from repeating itself.
Where will you go first? Would finding another Snow Elf really stop the genocides?
In truth, nothing will. The survivors of these atrocities walk among us every day. Still, it is not enough to dissuade others from pogroms and massacres. They won't right the wrongs committed by the Dwemer, nor will it stop those like the Thalmor from enacting their plans. But they might make others see the horrors of what was done, and remind them they are no better than our ancestors.
What about the Thalmor?
I am insignificant to them, a vessel for their knowledge and nothing more. They won't miss my absence, and so I am in no danger of their ire.
The only thing is that it no longer is giving me the first dialogue option of where will you go first? So I'm wondering if I messed up and maybe I need to reload and ask that.
I don't know where I'd be without you. Thank you. Farewell and be safe.
I am gonna load back just because I do want to see what that line does. This is once again a thing of it'd be nice to be able to travel with him, to be able to take him there ourselves. We're telling him it's too dangerous for him to go alone, so, take this. This being some, some Dragonborn action.
A living snow elf. One I can speak to. That may be the key to aiding the Falmer and stopping history from repeating itself.
Where will you go first?
I doubt any others remain within Skyrim. Safe havens, lands their kind could have retreated to after the Battle of Mosering Pass. Morrowind, High Rock, those are the places I shall search first.
Okay, yeah, I'll just quickly go through the other dialogue options, but I'm curious if I can find him again after this.
I don't know where I'd be without you. Thank you.
Because I know he said Morrowind High Rock, but I'm curious if maybe he would try and go to the Forgotten Vale. I feel like me saying, oh, don't go there, it's too dangerous. I feel like that's not enough to dissuade him when this is really just kind of his life's work, his life's journey now. I got ahead of myself in thinking that I might be able to find Sillas elsewhere. Meeting him back at the Altar's Rib is the final interaction. After this, he goes off to one of the provinces that he mentions, which is a bit of a happier ending than we get for many of Nimwraith's mods. For those who might be unfamiliar, Nimwraith's mods are very character and dialogue focused, something that I'm a big fan of myself. Many of his mods incorporate new factions, lore, and so on, but always with the goal of having it fit into the Elder Scrolls universe. Once We Were Here instead focuses much more on established lore, and acts almost as a narrated version of in-game books, with Sillas the Scholar acting as our storyteller. It's something that I really enjoyed, and would love to see more of, and it even reminds me a bit of the old Shoddycast storyteller videos. One thing that I really liked was that this touched on the Falmer lore, while also framing it through the lens of history potentially repeating itself, with Sillas showing great concern that we're on the path for the Falmer to commit similar atrocities to the Dwemer. Sillas being a Bosmer, and part of the Dominion, means that he has a much better perspective than we would on what the Falmer are up to, and what they're truly capable of. Making him quest-aware was a great touch, being able to bring up the artifact under Sarthal, or bringing up your experience with a living snow elf. Seeing that bit of optimism from Sillas after telling him about Gelebor made for a really good ending, and it has the quest end on a much more optimistic note. I think Sillas made for a great character. He's inquisitive, philosophical, and clearly deeply affected by what happened to the Falmer. Like Gelebor, he believes that the Falmer are a distinct people from the Snow Elves, capable of creating their own culture and society, and that they should be seen as more than just mindless beasts. The voice acting in this was really good, and Sillas shows a pretty wide range of emotion. I was also impressed that they recorded combat lines for Sillas, given that he's not really intended to get into any fights. It's the kind of thing that some mod authors might overlook, but going ahead and writing those short lines, getting them recorded and implemented really shows that this was well thought out. I maybe would have liked to have a quest marker pointing us to his exact locations, or should we have the option to follow him from place to place? But that's really about it as far as my critiques go. I think this is a great way of sharing Elder Scrolls lore, and this might even make it more accessible, since, let's be real, not everyone is sitting down and reading the lore books, reading UESP, and so on. This was a lot of fun to me, and I'd love to see more mods like this, giving us a more narrative way of consuming the series' vast amount of lore. But that's gonna be all for today. As always, thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, check out the Patreon or the YouTube memberships, both of which get access to my official Discord server, as well as early access to most new videos. And if you'd like to watch me play something other than Skyrim, while still talking about Skyrim mods from time to time, make sure to check out the streams at twitch.tv/0periodproductions. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.